The bar chart is a staple of any graphing solution, so naturally, custom dashboard supports it as well. As usual, at the widget, you can see there's both a vertical and a horizontal bar chart, so one going up and one going across. So you can see here vertical and horizontal. We'll just work with the vertical today, but you can transfer everything we set onto the horizontal bar chart. Now, for the bar chart, as with all widgets, the sources can be set to logs, metrics, and spans. So you can see different options here, although it doesn't really change too much about the configuration itself, although there are some slight differences. Now, moving down, we can see that there's this x-axis option. So that's actually defining the grouping. So right now it's got a simple group by value. So it's by subsystem. You can see CX, CSPM, CX room, Coralogix alerts, checkout service, ad service, and so on. If I change that to time, what happens is I actually group by time buckets now. So 3 a.m., 5 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 a.m. And it accesses the next piece of functionality I want to discuss, which is stacking in bar charts. So what this allows you to do is allows you to break down a given bar by specific values. In this case, what's actually happened is it's almost like we've grouped by time or time buckets, and then we've stacked by subsystem. If we go back to value for a second, we can see that it's actually just grouped by subsystem with no stacking implemented. And if I want to, I can add stacking of any kind. So we'll add the computer stack like we had in the previous ones. We can see front end here has the two stacks. We can pick a different one if we want to pick something else. So severity, for example. We can see that most of the front end logs are debug, a vast majority are debug, with some error and some info. So just a really nice indication there of what of how stacking works and how one can work with this. Also, how the x-axis can be changed to work with either time or value. So have a think about what's really important here. A good litmus test is simple, okay? For example, do you care about the front-end logs for an application for this particular widget? Or do you care about the activity in your system at a given time? Like your entire system at a given time. If you do care about something like broader happening at a given time, the time-based x-axis might be useful for you. Otherwise, the value-based x-axis is really useful, really powerful, really easy, and really straightforward to use. And of course, you can do the same thing with metrics and with spans as well. So you group by subsystem here, and you can stack by, for example, I will say service, for example. It should all be the same because service is usually similar. Pick action, that kind of cool. So now we're seeing the network activity of the front-end application broken down by which endpoints are hit most. So a really nice use case if you want to visualize which endpoints are being hit the most. In this case, it's the product categorization service that's being hit there. So really, really nice feature there. You can see the load generator, you can see the breakdowns there. So this is just actually a really good example of how one might use the stacking functionality for spans. Now, as we mentioned before, they can come in horizontal or vertical flavors. This is the vertical option because you can see the bars going up and down. Of course, you also have some advanced settings as well. So legend colors by group or by stack. So if you set by stack, you can just see that the colors will change. The color groupings will change based on whether it's the group, for example, front end is all these different shades of pink, or by stack. So now you can see blue here and blue here. So product category. And so it's coloring by the stack. Imagine like a slice across rather than a slice through. And of course, as with the previous options, you can set different color schemes as well for different values. You can set the max number of bars per graph as well. So if I set that to something less than we've got right now, like 5, you'll see it only shows 5. It defaults to 24. There's not many good reasons to change this, to be honest, unless you want to visualize the most important ones for whatever reason. That's kind of up to you. And you can set different group names. And you can also select different units if the value permits or is necessary. With metrics, the only thing to remind you of is grouping is done in the PromQL query down here. So if I, for example, go back to our DB statement latency, and I say we'll take the average of that, for example, like this. You can just see that the overall sort of latency performance there is metric, PostgreSQL, and Redis. And of course, stacking will work as well. So this can be done in a really, really powerful way. So essentially what we're going through here, just a quick recap, is the visualization of spans, metrics, and logs in the vertical bar chart. And this can be transferred over into the horizontal bar chart we've covered setting the color schemes for consistent colors, and also coloring by either the stack or the bar, depending on what it is you're trying to visualize and trying to get across to your users. Yeah, so this is really, really nice. Once again, just to highlight the power of this color scheme selector. So the color scheme selector is really great because, so in my opinion, there are certain color coordinations that you can set to different types of applications or different values, and it's really, really improves the sort of at a glance value of this kind of dashboard. So I would definitely recommend spend some time playing with the color coordination. It's just going to make for a more intuitive and immediately informative experience. It's these kinds of little details that we found that our customers really benefit from. So yeah, that's a quick recap of the vertical bar chart and obviously by extension the horizontal bar chart as well.